What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
And today we're getting jolly because we're going up to holiday weekend this weekend.
Yeah.
I just noticed that right now. So if you guys haven't gotten your shopping done, it's probably too late. Especially with GW saying like, oh, you can get your stuff if you buy it before this time. But they said that like 3 weeks ago.
So the best bet is to go to your local GW store and buy a gift card for your friend.
Yeah, there you go.
If it's open, because I think they're closed on Monday and Tuesdays.
Yeah. So you got like 2 days, 3 days, depending on the opening and the closing, to get there.
Yes.
And if not, just send them a playlist of One Mind Syndicate videos so they can watch that while they paint or do stuff with their girlfriends. Because apparently you war gamers have girlfriends.
Yeah. Hopefully they paint with you guys. Mm-hmm. And did we do the...
For the greater?
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. That is what?
This one is by Rogel Korn. Do you think that all Primarchs would be able to undergo apotheosis? Would the Emperor have wanted all his sons to be loyal demon Primarchs?
No, like a Loyalist Primarch cannot become a Demon Primarch because the reason that they're Demon Primarchs or they go through that thing is because they're becoming greater demons. Mm-hmm. And they're just way more powerful because they are demigods basically. So it's like taking a demigod and giving him the same types of buffs as you would like a regular champion of Chaos, except that the start base is like huge. So it's kind of like EV and IV training your Pokemon.
Yes, basically. The thing about that though is... it doesn't really make much sense in the lore, because obviously if you have Magnus the Red, who's already basically the second strongest Psyker in the entire galaxy, and then you elevate him to a demon prince, wouldn't he just be like unstoppable? And yet you have Guilliman going toe-to-toe with him and coming out, like it's not just like a complete one-sided, bloodbath.
Yeah, it gets tricky with the whole stories and like the power levels and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like... they're just trying to tell a story, and the good guys usually tend to win. The good guys usually tend to win.
Yeah.
But one thing that I did just think about, you could have a situation where Guilliman was, I guess, empowered by the Emperor with the sword, his armor, all that kind of stuff.
The Sisters of Silence were there. The Grey Knights were there.
So in a similar way, I guess, the Emperor could elevate his Primarchs into a stronger status by the buffs that he gives them, especially now that like it seems like he's becoming a God Emperor.
Yes.
So you could have technically a
loyal demon elevated Primarch
or chaotically buffed,
because that is exactly spoiler alert, but that's exactly what happened when Guilliman was fighting Mortarion. During the whole Godblight story arc or whatever, Guilliman was losing, and then through the warp or whatever you want to call it, the Ethereum, basically the Emperor empowered Guilliman to where his eyes were blazing. The sword was even more psychically powerful, and he was able to push back Mortarion. Yeah,
it's almost like with Saint Celestine giving her angelic wings and the power to like all that other crazy stuff.
Right.
So I guess yes.
Resurrection.
Yeah, there you go. Resurrection.
Other stuff. It's just coming back to life.
Yeah,
no big deal.
But that's a pretty big one. That's a pretty like. I could see that as a way that you can use like, oh, my Primarch Vulcan returned, but he's not regular Vulcan. He's like a buffed up version of old
Super
Vulcan.
Saiyan Vulcan.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess you could twist it and say that yes, there could be Loyalist demon Primarchs, kind of. But yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting once you get into the whole like chaos worship and stuff, because it's like, what if these Primarchs didn't fall to these gods? Would they still become, or would they still be able to achieve apotheosis? Like say if the Khan was preaching to Zeech, could he still become a chaos god, or would he stay as a regular like Primarch just with Zeech powers?
Yeah. We probably won't ever know.
Right. Because even with the Primarchs that we don't have like sculpts and models for that are chaos, like they've all achieved apotheosis. Lorgar is a demon Primarch now. So we'll just have to wait and see what exactly, the writers have in store for these Primarchs.
Yeah. Next question comes from Boyan S. Who would win in a firefight, Khazarkin or Tempestus Scions? So a Khazarkin is a Tempestus Scion, but a Tempestus Scion is not a Khazarkin. I would give it to the Khazarkin because the Khazarkins are raised in the military, or what is it called? The
Schola Progenia?
No, like the what was Cadia? It was called like a Bastion world, I think,
yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was Bastion.
So they have been drilled in like their entire society is military based, whereas the Tempestus Scions, they do get raised in the Schola Progenia, but they're not like, they could end up being like inquisitors, assassins, go into different like
it's more targeted. Yeah. Like they're going to be this, whereas the other ones you have more avenues to explore.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's like I would give it to the Khazarkin just because they're a little bit more elite.
Now, this isn't a question, but it is an ongoing series, if you will, here with One Mind Syndicate. Angel Amaro says, "Yo, finally tried Portillo's. Got that Italian beef with mozzarella and hot peppers. Can't believe I passed this place up for so long. I'll be taking my girl there when she gets back from visiting the fam."
Oh, damn, look at you with your girl.
So there's breaking boundaries here. Wargamers do have girlfriends.
That's crazy.
And do eat Portillo's.
Yeah. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't like mozzarella on my Italian beef. Just you should get the cheese fries.
Yes.
And then put the what is it, yellow American cheese?
Yeah, the cheesiness on it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It is.
Next question comes from Devon King. Does the Imperium have some type of heaven, or does everyone that die just ends up in the warp? So we have a 40 facts video on like what happens to you after you die in the 40K
I think it's
universe.
The afterlife. Yeah.
Yeah, the Imperium has like a concept of the afterlife. It's called like the what was it? Army of the Light. So the Emperor protects your soul. And then takes you over to his Army of the Light.
Yeah, basically heaven. Yeah. Or just think of it as kick, push, coast.
Even though I don't know if like that's just like the Emperor's way of consuming your soul after you die, and they're just lying to you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he's becoming a god, not because people are worshiping, but because he's consuming all the souls of the dead humans.
Right, but in a way you are the Army of the Light, because if he consumes you, the Emperor is the light of the Imperium. So, wordplay. This one is by Werewolf Pirate. Who would win between the Men of Iron or the Thunder Warriors?
Probably, that's a good question.
Yeah, because the Men of Iron, they're kind of what caused the Thunder War. Well, not really. No. But it's like the Thunder Warriors came after the Men of Iron, so they kind of never really interacted. But I'd give it to the Thunder Warriors. Because they're like prototype Space Marines, and I think a Space Marine can take on a Men of Iron.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. Also, it really depends on, because there's so little lore on the Men of Iron, because some of them were as big as like an entire continent. So it's like a giant sea drill or something crazy like that had AI and knew what to do. So when you think of that, it's kind of like a less advanced Necron army versus the Thunder Warriors, minus the reanimation, because they can't reanimate. Yeah. But yeah, I think I would still give it to the Thunder Warriors. There is one of my favorite stories of all of 40K is the first legion of the Salamanders, like before they found Vulcan. They were sent down into like Tempestus Galleries, I think it's called. And they had to fight the Men of Iron down there. There's some just like Men of Iron that still existed. Oblivious to the uprising that happened, the cybernetic revolt. They were just working on their thing, and then these what I call salamanders had to fight their way through, and they ended up winning. It cost them a shit ton of legionnaires, but yeah, they won.
That's interesting. So then maybe the Thunder Warriors wouldn't have won, because their weapons, their war gear, their tactics aren't as up to par as a Space Marine.
But I think this was like super, super early on. Like it was before I think it was still during the Unification Wars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and also like they were going up against these robots that were like they were in the core of Earth. So they were already super, super tough. Not your standard whatever Men of Iron is in the Blackstone Fortress. I forget his name.
Yeah, it's like A23 or something like that.
Yeah, that one seems like a pussy.
Whoa!
Next question.
This one is by Rogelkorn once again. If Space Marines sweat out their excrements, wouldn't that mean that they absolutely reek of pure shit? Like, imagine that you're a guardsman whose platoon has just been saved by a group of Space Marines, and you run up to meet them and show them your gratitude when you're suddenly hit with a wall of putrid odor.
I think to answer that question, I'm going to tell you a story. The other day, I was at the gym, and there's this really big, like, burly-looking dude who was working out. He wasn't really working out. He was just pushing weights. Like, there was no... Like, he wasn't targeting any muscle. He just wanted to be a dick and, like, was grunting and throwing stuff around. And he started sweating, and he smelled really bad, and nobody said anything to him. And it's kind of the same situation. Like, if a Space Marine, or if you're an Imperial Guardsman and the giant Space Marine comes up to you and he smells like shit, are you going to say something?
Right.
No.
So it could be a Death Guard in disguise.
Yeah. And yes, they do smell bad. Next question comes from Distonks333. Could you catch demons within a Geller field like in Ghostbusters?
I feel like it's possible, yeah. Because it's just like a force field that keeps things out. But if there's one already in, then it's like a little Pokeball.
Yeah. What's interesting about Geller fields, I was doing some research for the Chaos Tau, and one of the moments where like the Eldar or the Tau were corrupted by Chaos, it was a situation where they were experimenting on a Geller field. And the Geller field was leaking, what's it called, the etheric powers, which then, brought Tzeentch and the corruption and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's happened before. It's in those devices. Next question.
This one is by Abivialgo. Trick question. If you're into Warhammer 40K, you obviously don't have a girlfriend, and your most female encounter is playing against the Sororita army. True or false?
False, because somebody just told us that they tried Portillo's and they're going to bring their girl.
Yeah.
Unless by their girl they mean like Adeptus Sororitas army.
Yeah. But yeah, just have a long conversation, probably after a movie, about maybe Starship Troopers, maybe Dune. Maybe Judge Dredd.
That's how you get a girlfriend?
No, that's how you... So you get a girlfriend, say, let's watch a movie, Netflix and chill. Put those movies on, and then be like, hey, did you like these movies? Because if so, and then you can ease into the 40K. Because they all have aspects of 40K thrown in there. And that's how you kind of break the ice, so to speak.
Yeah. Or target artsy chicks. I feel like artsy chicks that are into crafts.
Painting, yeah.
Yeah, would be into that kind of stuff. But they have to be into crafts. Not like artsy chicks in terms of like, I like decorating my room.
And speaking of artsy chicks, Natalie Juarez. Is that the first female audience member that we've had on the Greater Wall? Probably not, but no. Natalie says, and yes, Juarez.
Juarez.
So it's Natalie, not Natalie. It depends on the person. How to get somebody into 40K really depends on the person, because I almost needed 10 years to get my husband to buy a box. And I learned that taking his character into account was important. He will not paint a mini, but he reads lots of fantasy and sci-fi books. So I gave him the best books I know about 40K, and he agreed to paint after that. 40K is something that you want to share with a person, or at least not constantly fight with them about it. Then have your partner respect your hobby, and at some point let them know about it. I wouldn't want to be with a man that would fight with me over a hobby that I love. I have a friend in my local shop, and his girlfriend constantly bothers him about it. She's mad that he spends money on it, and sometimes on our shop's long weekend nights, she comes in at 1 a.m. and throws a temper tantrum demanding that he goes home and insults his friends about it. I couldn't deal with that personally.
What type of hobby shop are you staying at
that's
where it's
open
at
at
1 in the morning? That's fucking crazy.
That sounds pretty cool, depending on like the people there and stuff.
Yeah.
Like if it's just you and the boys, but then you have like a 9-year-old kid.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't think they would let a 9-year-old kid hang out with a bunch of dudes until 1.
Yeah.
That's a red flag. What was her question? Or she was just like...
She was just answering.
Oh, okay.
Keeping the conversation going.
Yeah, I like that. I like that whole concept. But you also have to keep in mind that, like, with Warhammer 40K, if somebody's like, I like the lore, but I don't like painting, that's cool. Like, that's part of the whole thing. The only people that you should hate are the people that say, I only play the video games. Fuck you guys. Because there is no good... Well, Dawn of War, I guess. But nobody's still playing Dawn of War.
We do have Space Marine 2 to look forward to.
Barely.
That's gonna bring in a lot of people that just know 40K because of Space Marine.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, then we're gonna get a bunch of Henry Cavills out there who are like, "Oh, I'm one of you guys." By the way, The Witcher is out.
Have you seen The Witcher yet?
No.
None of it?
No, because like I saw the first season, and then now that this next one came out, every time I see it, I just think of how he's using us. He's using the Warhammer 40K crew or the community to just be like, "Come watch my show." So you guys are into nerdy shit. I paint Adeptus Custodes, which is one of the newest factions. I'm getting too into this.
Yeah. He loves Henry Cavill, by the way.
I don't.
But yeah, this new season of The Witcher has some really good monsters. That's all I'm going to say.
Next question comes from Adam Parton. Do you know what happened to Sanguinius's body? Where is he buried? On Baal.
He's buried right here.
In our hearts.
Mi corazón.
In the minds of the Blood Angels who succumbed to the...
Black Rage.
Yeah. Or is it... Yeah.
The Red Thirst.
No,
it's a Black Rage.
Yeah.
Harkin Lato says, follow-up question about introducing 40K to your date. What if your GF is even bigger 40K nerd than you are? What's the plan then? You don't introduce her, like she's already in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you just like let her teach you. Mm-hmm. You got to be careful with people who know more than you about things, though, because usually they try to talk down to you.
I do that all the time.
Talk down to people?
Talk down to myself.
Oh.
I'm not joking.
Next question.
Roger Rangel. What's your least favorite part about 40K? Not just in the lore, but Warhammer as a whole.
Video games.
I thought you were going to say Henry Cavill.
Oh, he's not even part of it. Dude, stop comparing him to, or connecting him to 40K.
For me, I think it's the price. This is a fun game that's like should be brought to the people, like, and I feel like the price is a huge barrier to get people to get into it.
Yeah, and what I find kind of interesting is that even though it's super expensive and we have cheaper options, which would be like War Machine and Hordes, Hero Clicks and all this, we still don't go to those.
Yeah.
So it's like it's difficult. But yeah, I would really like it if the price went down.
Yeah. The other thing that I don't like about it, but there's like no real way around it, is just how long it takes to actually get a game going and to actually play the game.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that we usually play like 3.
Yeah, 1v1v1s or 2v2s.
Yeah, those games are kind of long.
Right, because if we do play 1v1s, and it's like we got to set up another table, and that's more time.
Yeah.
And then what if one group finishes before the other ones?
Yep. You don't get to trash talk with everybody, only with one person.
Right.
Next question comes from Airman MX1. How big of a weed blunt would it have to be for a Space Marine to get high off of?
Yeah, I saw that question.
Pringles can size? No.
No.
I think that like the only thing that comes close to intoxicating a Space Marine is Fenrisian ale, which I think is just like what they put in the ships for them to drive and stuff. So it's a power thirst. That's an old reference. I wonder if you guys know where that comes from.
I don't even know where it came from.
Next question.
This one's by JT. Is the Star Wars universe more powerful than the Warhammer one? Like armies and space magic and all that stuff. So he's asking, is Star Wars a stronger universe than 40K? Like, with everything included, not just armies and space and magic and all that stuff.
Gotcha, yeah. No, I don't think so.
No, because when you think about it, like, you see, because here's the thing. When you look at Star Wars, you're seeing it more through, like, a narrative perspective. Whereas, like, in a kind of similar linear timeline type thing, with 40K, you have many different things going on all across the galaxy. And I feel like you have more like docile and like human like races in Star Wars than you do in 40K. But in 40K, it's all about like in the grim dark future of 40K, there's only war.
Yeah.
So it's like you're seeing more of the devastation, the death, the demons, and that kind of thing in one aspect, where you don't really get to see the full picture in Star Wars, just like through the eyes of like the Jedi, and then you get more in depth with like the novels and stuff. So I'm gonna say no. 40K is tougher, more dark and stronger.
Yeah, I think you kind of like nailed it too with pointing out that like with Star Wars, you're following a hero.
Mm-hmm.
In 40K, you're following multiple heroes. It's not just the Primarch. You also have Gatsgul, Magork, Draka. You also have who's the Farsight or like Shadow Sun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot of heroes operating in one universe, whereas with Star Wars, it's just the Skywalker lineage. So yeah, is that Anakin's last name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And those were the questions for today.
Oh, and it's also Rey's last name now. She chose it, remember?
Yeah. It's kind of lame. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening. Enjoy your holiday weekend, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, this has been The Sound Alchemist.
Gersh one.
And we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.